Gutenberg is a new editor platform that was employed by WordPress, and now it is the default content editor for WordPress. A lot of drag and drop, so WordPress users can do much more with Gutenberg. And we have tested with Gutenberg. So as we speak, our developers are working on making sure that it is 100% compatible with our plugin as well.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nusky and it's a pleasure being your host. Every time I come back, I have a wonderful new guest lined up for you, and today is no different. I'm on the line with Mostafa Hosseini. He is the CEO and founder of WP Spellcheck, and today we're going to be talking about not only his business, we're going to be talking a little bit about WordPress and some of the latest things that are going on with the WordPress platform. How are you today, Mostafa?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks for having me, by the way.
Yeah, not a worry at all. It's an absolute pleasure. We were talking a little bit earlier off air about how Australia at the moment is going through a bit of a heat wave, and one of your relatives lives in Melbourne, and he was saying that Santa Claus is in shorts, he reckons.
Yeah, he's running around in shorts and shaved.
And I reckon he's had a bit of a shave too. I tell you what, it is to say it's hot is probably an understatement. So, how have you been, Mostafa?
I'm good. It's actually freezing up here. It's about minus 16 this morning.
Oh wow! It goes from one extreme to the other. Is there just like a nice environment where we can just hit about 25 consistently? Do you think that exists?
San Diego, I hear, is kind of like that. California.
Yeah, well, look, I think I'm going to migrate there. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I'm with you, brother. It's kind of cold up here.
What do you like to do when you're not working on WP Spellcheck?
I ski and I hike. I'm actually a level 2 ski instructor here in Calgary.
Oh, fantastic. And it'd be right up your alley with the weather right now. Is it the start of the season there for that sort of thing?
It is. It is, yes.
Okay, so from a professional background, tell us a little bit about your story, where you came from and where you're at now.
Gee, where do I begin? WP Spellcheck was the result of me running a digital marketing agency for the past 9 years out of Calgary, Alberta, and we deliver digital marketing services to companies pretty much in North America. Mm-hmm. And so we were building and maintaining WordPress websites for our clients. And part of maintenance was also doing search engine optimization. And what happened from time to time, we're managing like over 100 websites. Mm-hmm. And sometimes our customers call us and say, hey, Mostafa, we found an error on page 72 of this 200-page website. Why do we have errors on the site? So we apologized profusely and we started fixing the errors, and then they call us a little later and saying there's errors in this other page of the site. Mm. And so that happened a few times, and then their customers of our customers called them up and say they found errors, grammar and spelling errors here and there, or code was broken, or the content of the page was not showing up properly. And then this one time I had a doctor call me up and say, hey, Mostafa, why is my name spelt wrong on Google? Oh. Or, whoa, we are really sorry about that. So let us just fix that right away. So that was a turning moment for us. So I turned to my developer and I said, look, we need to, and his name is James. I said, James, we need to build a solution where we could scan and proofread the entire site with a click of a button. Mm. We don't have time to go through 300 pages. So took us a few months, and we came up with a solution to proofread and audit the website, a WordPress website, with a click of a button within a few seconds.
Given that WordPress is such a behemoth in the, the online website space, is this something that you see taking over the world? In terms of all of these other platforms, Weebly, Wix, and all these other website builders?
Eventually, we have plans for that, but right now our focus is on WordPress, because WordPress is powering about 30% of the web. Mm. and we got a pretty big market to deal with right now. So our plan is to focus on WordPress and do as much as we can with WordPress users, and then eventually we're going to branch out to other platforms like Squarespace and other guys.
I love WordPress, and there's often times where we come across these problems, isn't there? That it can be quite complex to fix. Is this if you categorize websites into basic, intermediate, and advanced websites, does WP spell check serve the needs of all levels of websites?
Absolutely. So we have three different customer categories. The first category is web agencies and SEO agencies.
Mm-hmm.
The second category of customers are bloggers and bigger corporate websites with thousands of pages on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third category that we're serving are small business owners with smaller sites, like with a few hundred pages or less.
Right.
So these are the different guys that we're trying to serve, and our plugin is able to scan an 80,000 page website in about under 5 minutes.
Wow, that's incredible. I know there's some big changes on the way, Mostafa, in terms of, I think it's called Gutenberg. How is that likely to affect not only yourself but others in the plugin space?
So Gutenberg is a new editor platform that was employed by WordPress, and now it is the default content editor for WordPress. It's actually a very user-friendly platform, a lot of drag and drop, so WordPress users can do much more with Gutenberg.
Mm-hmm.
And we have tested with Gutenberg already last month or a month and a half ago, and today it was released. So as we speak, our developers are working on making sure that it is 100% compatible with our plugin as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm just sitting here thinking, I wonder how many people have woken up today or on the day of the release and suddenly found, oh, my whole website's gone. Do you think it's going to affect anybody adversely like that?
No, from what it seems like, WordPress is still honoring and the current themes and the editors that people have on their sites.
Yeah.
So it's not going to hurt anybody and crash their website or hurt their content. But eventually, I think they're going to phase out the previous editor.
I love the experience where I can go and check out a plugin and and have a look at it and install it myself. Will Gutenberg actually take that away from us, or is that just something they're really going to start focusing on, do you think?
No, you still can install all types of plugins and do everything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a content editor on the back end of your website. So, when you open a page or a post,
Mm-hmm.
and then how you used to, type content, and you had those like Microsoft Word type of buttons across the top,
Yep.
where you could like bold it and align it to the left and right and all that.
Yep.
Gutenberg now gives you more ability to add picture, add video, kind of a drag and drop type of system. And I think it's more user friendly for the less experienced WordPress users, especially if you don't know development and code.
So like a WYSIWYG editor.
Absolutely. It's it's a lot easier and more user friendly. I think it's actually a good thing that they did, because they were trying to catch up with other platforms on that front.
Yeah, no, because there can be a lot of fear and almost an anxiety that builds up with WordPress, because one click of a button could be make or break. If you've got some poorly constructed code in there, which I guess comes to my next question about what would be in your mind an optimum number of plugins for a WordPress website to work with yours.
To work with our plugin?
Yeah, if is there an optimum, or it doesn't matter, or?
No, it doesn't really matter unless there is a conflict, which we work really hard to fix any issues or avoid any conflicts that could be brought up. But on a WordPress site, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve and how many plugins you need to run. But ultimately, the lower the number of plugins, the better.
Right.
Sometimes there's conflicts in code, and actually one of the functions in our plugin, now that you mentioned it, is finding all the broken code and broken and deactivated plugins on a WordPress site.
Oh, that's powerful, isn't it? You know, because oftentimes we get out of control with how much stuff we've got on our websites, don't we?
Oh yeah. So the issue we had with that was like we built a landing page, or actually multiple landing pages for our clients and for ourselves. And what happened was we had an opt-in form on that page, and we were sending paid traffic from Facebook and Google to that page, right? And then at some point, it was like a month or two went by, and we got no customers, no phone calls, no opt-ins from that campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out what happened was the opt-in form plugin was broken, and all people were seeing was a shortcode on the output of the page.
Oh.
So we wasted a lot of time and money, and we actually embarrassed ourselves pretty heavily. And actually, we did it with a client, and so we're like, we need to figure out if the shortcode is shown out on the output of a page pretty much as soon as possible. So our plugin does a quick scan across the entire site and shows you all the pages that have short codes or broken code on the output of the page, so you can avoid embarrassment, especially on larger sites.
That would just save so much time and, like you say, that embarrassment. I wonder what sort of numbers are we looking at in terms of, let's say, just an intermediate website, Mostafa? How many errors does your WP spell check uncover for people? Is it 80% of their website is affected, or what's the number?
It really depends on who is writing the content.
Right.
So I don't have any stats on like an average for websites, but I mean, and when we created this, I thought that it is my problem because English is my second language, right? Mm-hmm. And then I started hiring some locals here, and they started making the same mistakes. And when I asked them, "What's going on, man? Why are you making mistakes?" He goes, "Well, you know, English. I'm not an English major. I make mistakes." I was like, "Oh." Back to your question, it really depends on who is typing. Like we got some people with big fat fingers that are making mistakes all the time.
This sounds
People with ADD like myself, they make mistakes. People that don't have time to go through and fix their errors and are just typing fast, they make errors. But yeah.
It just goes to prove the validity of having a product like this available for your WordPress website. And for those who are listening to the call today, I'm certainly going to make the links back to the WP Spell Check plugin available for you. Now, Mostafa, I'd just love to ask you, was it Jamie is one of your developers? Is that his name?
James,
right. What is the process behind developing a plugin? It's always fascinated me.
So, you got to know the documentation for WordPress. There are a few basic things that you got to have in there. So you build your plugin and then you submit it to WordPress. You can have it actually off of a WordPress depository as well. But ours, we have a freemium model. So our free version is listed on the WordPress depository. And then the process is you need to update it on an ongoing basis because WordPress and other plugins are constantly updating. There are different versions of PHP and different versions of databases that are improving and updating on an ongoing basis. So you need to start from scratch and then build and improve moving forward and submit new versions to WordPress.
You know, Mostafa, there are so many questions I could ask you. There's one that sort of sticks out for me is, how is the WP Spell Check plugin different from the others that are on the market?
Great question. So the reason we actually created WP Spell Check was the existing solutions out there, like the browser extensions, like services like Grammarly, which are doing a great job, and there are Microsoft Word and whatnot. With those services, you actually have to visit every page on your website. So on average, it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes per page on your website that you need to visit the page, go through the page, find the errors, fix them, and then hit update to make sure that the errors are fixed. Now, that being said, with, say, some browser extensions or even the add-ons and whatnot, and as I'm sure you're familiar with WordPress, say with the title tag and you got the SEO title and the SEO description, sometimes depending on what browser you're on, you actually have to click inside that box so the browser add-on can actually detect the errors. and analyze.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So the issue that we ran into was that there are, like, our plugin checks, the spell check component checks over 20 different places on the website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we made it so that it goes through with one click and a few seconds. It checks the entire database and, proofreads and finds all the errors, and then shows you the entire list. So you know exactly what's happening, and you have access to all the errors in one list.
Everybody loves that one-click solution, don't they? Is it been a very difficult process to get to that point where it's one click?
Well, we had to work. Yes. Well, it wasn't very difficult, but we actually had to work to make it so that you could click a button and scan the entire site, which most site owners and agency owners and users and project managers don't have time to go through every page, right? And then what we figured was that spelling errors and grammar errors were actually hurting our sales heavily. Right. It was like, people see errors on your site, they go, "Oh, this guy, if he can't get the wording right on his site, what is he going to do with my stuff?"
Yeah,
right.
And that's the thing, we don't often stop to think about these things. And with this feature, that thinking, that need to think about this has gone away, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. And then, like, another issue that we ran into, let's say that we actually have one of our users, he has a website with 8,000 pages.
Wow.
Right.
Yep.
Now, on his site, it would have taken him between 600 to 1,000 hours to just go through the pages and find the issues, right?
Wow. Nobody's got time for that, do they?
Nobody. So what happens is people actually leave it. They leave it as is with the errors because it's impossible to actually go through. And so on his site, for example, the word offer was misspelled 3,500 times. Right? So that means that you have to go through 3,500 pages, open the page, find it, fix it, and do all that, right? With our plugin, you say, "Hey, WSpellCheck, apply this correction to this misspelling and apply it to the entire site." Click of a button, all 3,500 misspellings are fixed within like 3 seconds.
That's a dream.
Done.
That's a dream outcome.
Yeah. So that is pretty much how our plugin is different from the solutions out there, that we try to save time and, make sure that the users are looking professional. They save, their credibility, and they can establish their expertise without having errors and mistakes on their sites.
Thank you so much for sharing some insight into that part of the WP spell check. It's a fascinating environment. It's one that I love. If people are wanting to learn more about the WP spell check, and if they want to contact you to ask you questions, where are they going to go?
So there's two ways to go about it. One is visit our website at wpspellcheck.com. And they could see the plugin there, or they could on the WordPress repository or on the back end of their WordPress website through the plugins page. When you click on Add New, if they search for WP Spell Check, we show up, and they can install and activate and try and do a free audit of their website and give it a shot.
Again, everybody look around the post or wherever you see the call today. There'll be links back to WP Spellcheck. Now, I'm looking on the features page here. It's absolutely amazing what features it's actually got. It checks pages and posts and tags and so on. How long did it take you to create this plugin?
It took us about 4 or 5 months to come up with our version 1, and we've been constantly updating and improving the plugin and fixing issues and whatnot for the past 3 years.
Go down the page. You've also got some bonuses with this plugin. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So the main plugins is the spell check plugin and the grammar plugin that does the checks on your grammar and spelling. And then we include a couple of bonus plugins, which is finding empty SEO fields on your website. These are fields that you've left blank on your website, and you could put content in there to improve your rankings. And then the second bonus plugin is the broken code plugin. That's the one with a click of a button, you will know all the broken code or short code on your website.
Well, that's fantastic. So for anybody who's looking to make sure that their website's up and running as intended, you definitely need to go and check out WP Spellcheck at wpspellcheck.com. Mostafa, it's been an absolute treat spending some time with you on the My Future Business show today.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.